Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm really pleased to be here. It's one of the first completely physical events that I've been to recently. So thank you, Mr. Pushkin, for arranging this. And it's a pleasure that we have a very, very diverse panel here. We have people from the healthcare background. We have people from hospitals as well as pharma. And I'm a doctor myself, so that would be interesting as well. So let's just start off with a brief round of introductions. I'll start off with my introduction first. So I'm Dr. Ruchi Dana. I'm a medical doctor and a Stanford MBA. So we have a family business here, and we're a family of doctors. And in terms of healthcare, we make a number of investments, mainly into deep tech and digital healthcare startups. And apart from that, we also have a hospital in India, in Jaipur. It's a heart and multi-specialty hospital. But since we're a family of doctors, healthcare is something that we understand. We are able to do the due diligence, so it really helps us quite a lot. And we can also do pilots at our hospital, so that again is like an extended benefit. So let's go on to Dr. Raza. Could you please introduce yourself? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ruchi, and thank you very much, Pushkin, and esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and pleasure. And Ruchi, I'm with you. This is Pushkin, the first event I'm attending during the last 2 years. And we coming from healthcare have to be especially more careful. And we also have to play a role model because the disease is far from over and it is not going to leave us any sooner. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, I'm trying to be realistic. So we have to live life, which is very important, but we have to live life with the new rules and precautions. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Dr. Raza Siddiqui. I have been into healthcare for a very long time. I don't want to say that. And it is more than 3 decades. And I have been part of pharma industry. And for more than 25 years, I am in the senior leadership role of healthcare, running major healthcare institutions. I have the privilege and honor and blessings of Almighty Allah that He gave me many opportunities. And one of the big opportunities was to set up Indraprastha Apollo Hospital, Delhi, which is the flagship hospital of Apollo Hospitals Group. I set it up and played a key role in making it one of the best hospitals in the region, but also, alhamdulillah, with the grace of God, I hold a world record of making that hospital financially viable in first year of operations. I'm also a fashion designer, strange things, because I believe in following my passion. And from pharma industry, after spending 10 years, I moved into full-time fashion industry, into designing. And for 8 years I was there. But then I realized that it is my hobby, it is not my passion. So passion is healthcare. I came back to passion, set up Apollo Hospitals, was sent to UAE in 1998, and set up Belhol Hospital here. From 2004, I'm associated with His Highness, the ruler of Ras Al Khaimah. And Allah gave me opportunity, He gave me opportunity to set up a RAC hospital, one of the best hospitals in the region, which is a destination for advanced tertiary care, not only for the people of the region, but internationally. Today, patients from 15 countries come into Ras Al Khaimah for advanced care. I also got the opportunity to set up RAC Medical School, which is one of the best medical schools in the region, and we have close to 2,000 students. It is such a pleasure and honor to share a platform with you, Ruchi. I admire you a lot, professional, personal respect, and thank you very much, and looking forward to a meaningful discussion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raza. So I actually had the opportunity to visit RAC Hospital, and Dr. Raza showed us around. It's a really nice hospital, very, very well done, and there were like new wings that were under construction at that moment. I'm sure they must be developed by then. So it was a really, really nice hospital, and the way that he has managed, and the suites, they're really luxurious. So that's, again, something that a lot of people look up to. So congratulations, Dr. Reza, for setting up from scratch.
Thank you very much.
Thank
God has been kind. We have to be grateful to God for giving us all these opportunities and pay back in terms of providing best care to people passionately. That's the key. So it is all blessings of Almighty God Allah.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Siddiqui, we can just briefly go about your introduction. Do you have a mic with you?
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asif Ali Siddiqui. I have over the 20-year experience in global healthcare sector. We have a pharmaceutical company, marketing, distribution, and since last 6 years, we are developing the health tech platform. It's a native app and SaaS, which is able to, with a vision to create a digital ecosystem, centralized ecosystem, where all the stakeholders can be the part of it globally. We try to solve the many challenges which the healthcare is facing together. We can understand how important tech is, not better than today, because we all are going through the situation, pandemic, which world has faced, I think, and we understand now how the tech can play the greater role. So since last 6 years, we are in the technology of healthcare tech, and looking forward to discuss more, sharing more with it. Thank you so much, Richie, for, and we are looking forward to discuss more on how we came with the solution, what are the challenges the healthcare is facing. We'll talk more as discuss goes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siddiqui. It's really good that you're on the tech side of healthcare. I'm really passionate about it and would love to know more about what you're working on. Thank you so much. Mr. Khurshid, would love to get a brief introduction about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Ruchi. Thank you, Mr. Pushkin and Vertex for giving us the opportunity. In fact, it's a very relevant session when we talk of blockchain and the crypto. Mainly people go into the more professional and let's say more on the trading side. But a very important element over here is the healthcare innovation, wherein we see the complete ecosystem. And we are talking not only of the pharmaceutical drugs, we're talking right from the research till the supply chain, logistic, till it reaches to the hands of the patient. So it's a very pertinent issue. I think it's very right and relevant moment to have a good informative discussion, and our seniors from the industry, people like Dr. Raza are around. So I'm sure we'll have a very meaningful discussion today. Myself, we are Pharma Solutions, so we are into the in-licensing, distribution, and marketing across the Gulf and the Middle East area. And we are more into the critical size of the business, which means the oncology, cancer support, HIV products and all, and which are more, let's say, critical in nature for the emergency cases. So how we adapt to the technology, that also we can touch base upon in today's discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khurshid. I think it will be a very, very interesting discussion with all of us. So, Dr. Raza, let's start off with you. So I'd just like to know a little bit more about how the past couple of years have been for your industry and your business. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This has been one of the most challenging periods of not only us, but everybody's part of life. This is for the first time in the history of the world that one healthcare disaster has practically shut down the entire world. And for us in healthcare, it was a huge challenge on multiple fronts. Like, for example, it was, all of us were taken by surprise. So people were panicked. For me personally and our team, it was a big challenge, and the first challenge was to keep the morale of the team, because we are the backbone of the society in terms of falling back for anything. People were anxious, people were nervous, people were scared, and people were scared to death. That is the real phrase for this. And healthcare workers are also part of the community and society. So for us, first and foremost thing was that the morale of the people has to be kept. So what we did was, healthcare is all about innovation. Healthcare can never be stereotype, and it is very, very important for all of us who are interested in healthcare. Healthcare has to be always evolving. So first thing was to keep the morale of the people alive. So what we did was that we set up a COVID testing lab within 2 weeks record time in only 30 square meters of the hospital lab, and started giving free COVID testing, which still continues every week, free of cost to 700 people, free of cost. Not only that, we gave COVID testing free of cost to the entire families of the staff. Not only that, people staying in shared accommodations, we gave free COVID testing to their flatmates, just to keep the morale of the people so that if a patient comes, they go with confidence and are able to face. Second thing, what we did was we also created our own quarantine center for our staff free of cost and on a hotel standard. In case, God forbid, you fall sick, there is a place, a respectable place like a hotel where you can quarantine. In case you fall sick, you have the hospital to fall back. So it was a big challenge for the entire healthcare industry in the region. I'm giving you some examples how we have tackled. If you see, first time that public-private in this country, as a role model, we came together. And sanitization and screenings, everything the way government did, public, private, everybody got together and did that. And testing was, one of the best here. So this was the big challenge. And second thing is the treatment of the people, the anxiousness of the people. That was another thing. On business front, healthcare system in terms of financials collapsed because 70% of the business of hospitals is outpatient business. People stopped coming to hospitals and people were coming only for COVID. Now, COVID patients did not require the care of a specialist. They required maintenance care or they required ICU care. So we had two challenges. One challenge was business and second challenge was that doctors practically became jobless because they had no patients and they were coming to the hospital. So huge challenges. And that is the time we realized that the technology which we have taken so lightly plays such an important role. I tell people that biggest accelerator to technology has been COVID. For example, we realized that telemedicine existed, but telemedicine was being used only for marketing purposes. If we had telemedicine mature system with insurance approvals, with payment gateways approved, a lot of people who had cardiac problems, who had cancer problems, who had joint problems, could sit in the comfort of the home, and doctor who was sitting without work could have provided him consultation. So there were challenges, but there were also good solutions which we realized are possible and progressed towards it. Like, for example, man-to-man interaction in hospital is very, very important. So if we had a robust EMR system, then we could have reduced. We had, but we didn't have paperless hospitals all over. These were the challenges, but also people found solutions in this. But Alhamdulillah, this country is one of the best in the world to live. And the government came forward, supported everything, made possible all the best possible diagnostic and treatments available. And it was available to everybody, irrespective of their financial ability to support it. The hotels were converted into quarantine centers. Government took care of everybody. So I think it has been one of the most challenging and learning experience for all of us in healthcare.
Excellent, Dr. Raza. This shows like how much we can learn in a very, very short span of time. And necessity is definitely the mother of invention. So I think like we saw an entire paradigm shift in terms of technology adoption. Telemedicine took up a huge role in our lives, in our day-to-day lives. And as Dr. Raza correctly said, there were a lot of challenges that happened within the healthcare system, like challenges with doctors, challenges with resources that many people are not aware of, but it was really handled in a very, very good way in UAE. Other good motivation, as he talked about, was UAE giving out the golden visa for the healthcare workers. I think that was a very, very good move by the government, and it was very well appreciated. Thank you so much, Dr. Raza, for your inputs.
You know, one important point I would like to highlight. We just talk about it, but people don't realize what healthcare worker undergoes. It takes real guts to go into an ICU and treat a COVID patient. We take it very lightly. And sorry, I'm taking time, but it is very important. 60% of our staff got positive. 60% of the staff got positive. So these are big challenges.
Thank you, Dr. Rasa. So this was like the healthcare perspective from a hospital. Now we'll hear from the pharma industry. So Dr. Siddiqui, what were your views about how technology has affected you in the last couple of years? What were the challenges that you saw in your industry, and what are you working on?
Well, I will go directly to the tech side because today we are talking about the tech. So let's talk about how the health tech can solve the key issues that we have in the healthcare sector. Yeah, the challenges. I've noticed the issue, the challenges. The challenges number one that we have today is access of your own medical record. It's your medical record. You go to one doctor, to another doctor, another places, you don't have record. We all learn from the day one that your health is wealth. Unfortunately, we least care about our own health. So data accessibility of your own medical record is a key issue. You have to repeat the same information visiting the different doctor, different places, just waste of the time. You have to repeat the same test just because you don't have the test report. This is another challenge. According to the WHO, by 2030, you have more than the 13 million doctor shortage. It means that, number one, they have the less time to diagnose. Number two, they have the more burden in the healthcare sector. Number three, your cost is going to increase. You have another challenge is compliance, big issue. Doctor give you the prescription, but if you don't comply, you don't gonna get well. So it's a big challenge today is the compliance itself, the patient compliance, a big issue. More than $280 billion expenses per annum in the USA, just on the compliance. And more than, if I'm not wrong, 200 million people die because of non-compliant issues. That's the big challenges. If you go furthermore, we have aging population going to reach 1.5 billion in 2050. How are we going to manage this aging population? They are more vulnerable to infectious diseases like the pandemic or so on. Here the tech role play. Here the tech play. How about your medical record in your hand, anywhere you go? Secure, you give the access. Rather, so technology, if you see, the technology is moving from hospital to home. Remote monitoring, chronic management. And Radhabhai rightly says that telehealth was before. If you see the McKinsey report in 2019, only 11% was using the telehealth, which is accelerated by 73% outdoor patient is using now the telehealth. And the projection is the ER visit, around 60% ER visit can be solved virtually today. It just require a time to learn and practice. We can understand now how the virtual can play the better. So here the technology is going to play a role. A, reduce your cost. B, increase your accessibility, not only on your record, but also in the healthcare providers. Today you are sitting here, you can have the second opinion from the doctor from the India or USA. You don't need to fly anymore. You can have virtually. That's the technology going to play the role. And again, then the help to the doctors, AI has coming very strongly in the healthcare sector. Early detection of your disease. Managing your hospital as well. How you can utilize base of the AI system and machine learning to manage your ICU operation theater, ICU patient. If you see the room occupied in the hospital is very high. How you can manage all these things? Cost. These all are the machine learning and the AI can play. We go on and you can see that how the AI is playing in the healthcare sector. So we came with the idea, how about we have a single platform? We have many things, single platform that integrate all the stakeholders together, which include the doctor, patient, laboratory, lifestyle, everything, and patient-centric. That give a accessibility to the patient of your data. Centralize, you go anywhere in the world, you have the access. This is number one. Number two, how can we fix shift the disease management from acute to the prevention? That's what we have to think about it. Not like I have a headache, I have to go to the pharmacy. How can I prevent the headache before the headache came? And that can be only built if you have the community who are more conscious about the healthcare. There is no other way, right? Unfortunately, this community doesn't exist today, nowhere. So what we can do is we can create the virtual community. Yeah, we have a community for social, Facebook. We have a community for LinkedIn Professional. We have a community for politics. Why not the healthcare, which is more important in our life? There is not a single healthcare community. We came with the idea we will have the one platform which also create the community, healthcare community. that lead you to understand the mental health, which we all are going through, right? So when we have a community, healthcare community, which will talk about healthcare concerns, mental health, which is a big issue today in our society. So think about how the technology can play the bigger role. So all the solutions, we came with the one idea, and this is called the health interface. It's a very simple, we call high to health, and we believe that this is the future. We are going through the future. This is the future. It's a $1 trillion market. When we talk about the digital, it's not a small thing. It's a very, very big market. You just require to put all together. Thank you so much. If you have the further, we will definitely share more idea about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui. I think that was very insightful. One of the best applications of blockchain in healthcare is data. And till now, a lot of focus has been on data on the part of the hospital workers, like the EHR, EMR records and all. But till now, like nobody has been able to actually authorize the patients or like the normal public to get hold of that data. And the reason for that is definitely privacy and security. Yeah. So that's where there could be a very, very good application.
We patented it in the USA. Our patent is filed, and this is something very important. Like in the financial world, if you're able to keep your thing in your hand, why not the healthcare data? This is also the money, right? So you can secure today, the technology came in a way that you can secure your data highly encrypted and put in your hand of the patient. And whenever it's required to the doctor, you give the access to the doctor your health record. And you can revoke the data as well, like, okay, access for the 2 hours, 3 hours, or the 1 month, and you can revoke it if you don't like to have this doctor, your family doctor, to have your data. So this is something that technology has given us that leverage today to build this kind of, things.
Exactly. In fact, I had invested into a company in the UK. It's actually it's using blockchain for genetic data. So if you talk about like the genetic mapping of human beings, the cost has reduced quite significantly, and eventually like the entire human population will be genetically mapped. So it's really important to have individuals own their data, and blockchain could be a very, very good way of people to actually own their data and sell it off as tokens or anything for the clinical research organizations, pharma companies and all. So that's an interesting company to look at. Thank you so much, Dr. Siddiqui. It was a really pleasure speaking to you and learning more about what you're up to. So, Mr. Khurshid, would love to know more about how you have tackled the last couple of years and what do you see in the near future for your domain?
Sure. Thank you. So, as Dr. Siddiqui just pointed out, yes, technology is very important and integration of the data is very vital. Now, in our sector, when we talk of the life-saving pharmaceutical products, technology, one cannot see directly how we are linked to that technology. But adaptation is very important. It becomes crucial how technology keeps on evolving, as we all know, but with this blockchain and crypto, how the regulators and the governments, they adapt to it. In this case, we've been so lucky that United Arab Emirates have been so futuristic and so advanced in terms of technology that it helped companies like us. For example, we've got a very rare disease product, and the registration becomes very vital for the product. So with those serialization, 2D, what is availability, and all those technology have been adapted so fast that we get a fast-track approval because the product deserves that kind of. Not only that, the logistics and the supply chains, the UAE government has evolved such a formula about the counterfeit, how you can always control that counterfeiting, through the free zones or the mainland. That all has come through the government of the UAE. Now, we as the pharmaceutical players, we feel very blessed because when we are talking of ethical products and ethical drugs, and we internally as a private sector can adapt to the technology, but if the government supports you, then it becomes a win-win combination. And this is how we at Pharma Solutions, we try to do it. And by and large, most of the players in our industry, when we talk about, if you are not into the technology part, you're thrown out of it. So eventually everyone will adapt it, but how soon and how fast we do it. And that is what separates the ordinary into the extraordinary. Change is always the constant thing, as what we say. So we have been able to adapt the technology, one, from the registration, as I said, from that point of view. Number two, the most important is right from the manufacturing till the supply chain. Now, the supply chain is controlled in a very different way when we say for pharmaceuticals. Because we deal into the multiple region, it could be a centralized supply, wherein we store the products into the warehousing, where you've got your own shelves, which manually, physically is not possible. So everything is controlled with the tip of the mouse and with the technologies involved. So initially it is difficult for us or anybody into the company because they are not technocrats, they are not really into the IT and the blockchain. But the initial period is difficult, but then it becomes a very smooth workflow. And this is what we have adapted across the region. our distributors, our main people who've been handling into the warehousing activities. When we adapt to all these things, I think it becomes much more smoother. And as Dr. Raza has just pointed out in the beginning, COVID has taught us a lot of things for sure. I mean, things were existing, but then now we feel that no, without using that, what will happen? So eventually we all get used to it as human beings, and into the pharmaceuticals, into the healthcare, this is such a vital sector. We all need to really focus and prioritize ourselves into it. I mean, fashion, trading, and obviously the financial part is an important aspect, but healthcare, life-saving in particular, becomes much more important with these technologies. And we need to continue to be the key and important players into this. This is what I feel.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khurshid. I think you rightly pointed out counterfeit drugs is a very, very important application for blockchain.
Absolutely.
And it's getting a wide adoption as well. And you from the pharma industry would know more about this.
And
Yeah.
it's worked well in the region, and honestly. And people have been, I mean, because there could have been misuse of certain products which are much more popular than the others, and a lot of lookalikes get into the market. And the gray areas, still this is happening. But this is how we separate the developed and to the developing nations. When they adapt to these type of technologies, you can control it in much effective way.
Exactly. I think that was a very, very fruitful panel discussion. We learned a lot about technology, the uses of blockchain, how we have adopted to various new technologies, and how we have moved forward as an entire healthcare ecosystem. It was really good to hear both from the hospitals and the pharma industry. I think on that note, we'll just pause here for a moment and let the conference continue. Thanks
no,
again.
Don't run away. Don't run away.
Yeah.
Let's have some interaction, all right?
Sure.
Okay, so we have time for one or two questions. Quick fire, keep it short, sweet, no lectures. Question, and let the panel answer short, sweet, okay? Give you time for more questions. Who would like to have, where's this microphone? Yeah. Questions, anybody? Who's gonna be brave? No? Timur, I was gonna say that. It's not like you to be quiet. I was just about to fill the gap for you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much to all of you. The panel is great. It is important, the healthcare sector, the development. The question is basically nowadays, I mean, today we are at the blockchain Dubai. By the way, thank you. Really enjoying 2 days of the conference. So how does I mean, each of you can answer just basically, have you upgraded, or how do you move forward with the new technologies, blockchain, smart contracts? Do you do anything about it within the healthcare sector, personally, or as the company, or the entities you're had at the moment? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is it clear? Because my English.
I will translate your English. Thanks a lot, buddy. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you
the
can
question is,
upload to
whilst we are in the spirit of blockchain and innovation, I mean, let's not just keep it to blockchain, let's keep it to any form of innovation in the healthcare industry. I know Siddiqui covered some from his side specifically, you did as well. But let's have a quick joint one from the hospital side. What is technology-based preventative care or remote care that the hospitals are doing? And we've already heard it from that side, but you might take a step into, this is where I might be going in the next 5-10 years in terms of healthcare. And go crazy on DNA-based analysis, I know the subject, so go anywhere, okay? Don't want to give you the word.
Thank you.
you get
That's what I wanted to ask, exactly.
Thank you, Timur.
Sure, I think that was a very interesting question. I'll start off with my opinions on this. So we would love to stay in touch with the new technological advancements that are happening. So we, even though our hospital is like, it's a tertiary care hospital, it's not a very, very high standard because it's in India and it's mainly for a goodwill purpose. So even though we don't have a lot of advancements in the healthcare, like hospital ourselves, but we do invest into technology startups. So one of the startups that's adopting blockchain is a genetic and a microbiome testing company that's actually putting this data on a blockchain, and individuals can then own their data and eventually sell it to clinical research organizations, pharma companies, for tokens or for cash. So that's like a forward-looking thing. Apart from that, in terms of hospitals, there's a lot of scope for remote patient monitoring, especially given the the onset of preventive healthcare. Recently, I was on an all doctors panel, and all the doctors were saying that suddenly the patients are so much more adherent to the medications that we give because there's a lot of focus on preventive healthcare. So one of the new technologies that we invested in is edge computing, and it's a low battery hardware company that does edge computing. So basically, edge computing is analyzing the data at the edge instead of like getting the data on the cloud and then analyzing it with AI and ML. Edge computing is analyzing the data at the sensors at the tertiary level itself. So it would be like an IoT thing in which like the data can be analyzed, because you can collect a lot of data, but the important thing is how to use that data, how to make meaningful information get out of that data. So these are the two interesting things that we recently worked on. I think we'll hear from Dr. Siddiqui as
So,
well.
yeah, well, I will go with the more advanced future because present we
real
all
vision,
know,
both technology,
so,
innovation.
Yeah, so think about like AR, VR, you all know the surgical,
Yes.
they are using AR, VR. Think about that the virtual, you are doing the virtual, the video call. The doctor sitting with you as a hologram. That's going to be happen.
Yes.
Virtual consultancy. Wireless technology going to change the healthcare behavior, the way we are thinking. You can't even think about it. We all are surrounded by the wireless, right? The technology is changing. When I'm talking that this atmosphere is changing. I'm breathing is changing. I'm having some kind of sleep. My atmosphere is changing. Think of recording all this wireless through technology. You don't need any device anymore to capture all these vitals. This technology will become soon that you don't need any devices anymore. Your atmosphere, this is going to be capture all your vitals, where you're moving. Think about the mapping of whole your childhood to the today where you are. And in one click will give you how many times you go to the hospital, what kind of diseases. And that predict you where we're going to reach. Think about you are the chronic patient and you are having a carbohydrate and give you, look, do some exercise, otherwise your sugar level is going to be. This is something coming. This is already there practically.
here.
AI is already there. So the technology, healthcare is going to be yes, but there is some questions in the healthcare, especially in the AI. Not the, transparency is a key issue. That the doctor believe that the black box is not going to be the solution. They need some kind of the explanations, how it happened, where the technology is coming. That is why the machine learning, deep machine learning, these are playing the major role. I believe this era is going to be healthcare technology era. It's not this is the one of the major big impact or the positive impact has given the COVID to the healthcare sector. That the technology regulator, they have accepted it before telehealth. I don't think that many regulator has accepted. The insurance company, they feel that they can save the huge amount of cost in the outdoor patient by virtually. They are negotiating with the hospital, look, I'm going to pay you the virtual consultancy, 50% cost than your clinic visit. And they're saving the cost. So this is coming up very strongly. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to, last thing, it's not even a question. The thing is that what makes me surprised, with all this innovation, technologies, implementations, the new machines and everything we have now and we're trying to implement within the healthcare sector, but we still, when it comes to education, our kids have to study for 5, 7, 15 years in order for them to become a doctor. And none of the new things which are implemented now or even in future are now being recorded, and kids are studying with them. So when they go out from the universities with the degree, they don't really know how to operate with all these new technologies and the machines. This is what surprises me, and then obviously it comes down to people within the healthcare sector, educational, who can actually advise that now you can, yes, you do. Being a doctor is like, that's why it's PhD, right? It's a philosopher. So he takes into consideration his experience, not only the knowledge, before he goes into details. So that's what I think they need to study less and have more practice. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Timur. Okay.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the panel and Ruchi, thank you for moderating that, a great round of applause, please.